It's not a bad point, actually. I'll quite get on with this craft pale ale.
Yeah.
I can't stand bitter and shit like that.
Welcome along to a special edition of TUI Transfer Talk, coming to you from the Five Rivers pub. Nick and I have got ourselves a little pint in the sunshine, sort of. But we've approached August, and Saints have only made one signing this summer, the signing of Jan Bednar, Polish defender. And it seems like we've been fairly quiet in the market, but we'll be discussing the never-ending story of Virgil Van Dijk and our transfer activity, and also taking some of the comments from a few familiar faces from the Saints community. This episode is also available to download on a SoundCloud, on our SoundCloud account, which should be available in the link in the description if you want to listen to us on the go. But Nick, we've got lots to talk about. But first of all, how do you think our window has gone so far? Are we in danger of being left behind?
Well, the answer I think is no. I mean, yeah, we're slow. That can't be denied. But if you look back over most transfer windows, very little gets done before the last week of July, start of August. You know, selling clubs looking to up the price, and you know, so you go in for a player mid-July. You know, the selling club doesn't want to let him go to the first offer, and you know, winds up the transfer market through agents, etc., to try and get the best price out of it. So look back over the last 3 years, most of our deals have been done first week of August onwards. So I'm not panicking on this one at the moment, and I think the last 3 years have showed us that word is patience, you know, rather than panic. Let's not jump on the bandwagon. We know what we need. I think we need 2 players maybe minimum, and obviously the real test is whether Van Dijk stays or goes. And
teams around us like Bournemouth, they are rivals now in the table. They finished just below us. Everton, West Ham, West Brom are all investing big into their playing staff this summer.
They are, but if you look at Everton and Bournemouth, 2 teams that have invested heavily early doors in the transfer window, they've all paid way over the odds for it. You look at Everton. Everton have signed players at 20, 30, 40 million, and they're paying over the odds. Giffy Sigurdsson, you know, Everton are about to pay 15 million for him. A year ago, he was no more than a 20, 25 million pound player. You know, the deals that get done early in the year are the big deals where people either pay over the odds or it's done and dusted. So, you know, I'm not too bothered at the moment. I think we'll have our signings mapped out on what we're going to do and what we're going to pay, and we're going to pay the proper odds. Bournemouth made some good signings. You know, I'm not sure on Defoe at 65, 70 grand a week basic for a 35-year-old, 36-year-old coming on striker. You know, how long can he keep going? Begovic is a good keeper. You know, I don't think we need him, but he's a good keeper. Overpriced. And again, Aki, £20 million for a centre half who's played, don't know, a dozen games for Bournemouth in the Premier. I think he played a few for Watford. But he's not a £20 million centre half.
And there's a lot everybody's been saying, you know, the market's gone mad. You know, Virgil van Dijk wouldn't have been worth £70 million, say, 12 months ago.
No, definitely. And I mean, you look at, we signed Virgil van Dijk 2 years ago for what, £13 million? And Virgil van Dijk was a more experienced, better centre-half than Aki, and Aki is going for, you know, near on twice that amount.
Right, we're going to take some comments now. First comment is coming from Aidan from the Fresh Saints. Let's have a look at what he's got to say.
At the moment, I personally think the biggest focus for our board and for our fans is that we retain our best assets this summer. I think that's the most important factor, something we haven't done in recent years, and I feel like the squad wasn't utilised to its best capabilities last season. So whilst at the moment I do think, you know, it's a bit worrying seeing the way that other teams are progressing, getting, you know, 4 or 3 first-team players through the door, I do feel like with the players that we've got and the players that didn't quite hit the ground as they should have last season, players like Højbjerg, Buffal, and when we get a full pre-season with players like Gabbiadini, I feel like they can really bring the best out of our squad, and it's not as worrying as many may think. You know, it's a big thing in the modern day now that you have to do big in the transfer window to have a great season, which often isn't always true. The best thing is just to make sure your players are ready for the new season and you've got the right players capable of doing the job. I'd love to see a new centre-back in, definitely a first-team starter there, and another forward, given that Jay's gone. But no, I don't think there should be as much worry as some people might think.
So Aidan goes on to say, we want to retain our best assets, especially, and utilise the squad as centre back and a centre forward. And I think you haven't seen that video before, but it's almost an echo of what you just said.
Yeah. I mean, Aidan speaks a lot of sense there, and probably a lot more eloquently than I do. It's almost as if he's tapping into my brain. So I'm a little bit worried there about Aidan. But no, Aidan's quite right. I mean, last season's problem was we had a good squad, which was proved by the fact even in utter turmoil we still finished 8th. And we should have chased Everton down a little bit harder. But when you look at the final 6-7 games, if we'd even got an average return in that, we wouldn't have been too far off them. But we didn't. We were awful. Barely scored goals, lost games, drew the odd 1 or 2. The problem last season was that we had a good squad being poorly managed. So when you've got a problem like that, as Aidan says, you don't need to change the squad, you change the manager. So we've changed the manager, so now we've got a good squad under hopefully a good manager. So we've taken the problem out and we stayed with the solution. So he's quite right. We do need a couple of new players. I mean, even if Van Dijk stays, we need another central defender. I mean, to be blatantly honest, I mean, I've got slated for this in the past about Yoshida and Stevens, but they're not, at this moment in time, Premiership quality central defenders. Bournemouth have gone out and signed Aki for 20 million. They haven't been chasing Jack Stevens or Yoshida. They've been looking at players like that, and we've got to replace Fonte, because we haven't replaced Fonte. We replace Jose Fonte, and then we've got the Virgil Van Dijk situation, and we deal with that. So personally, getting a decent central defender to replace Fonte, and we're not far off being a good squad. And as Aidan says, we've got it there. It's tweaking it then. I mean, I still think, forwards wise, we scored goals against St Etienne. We've got the firepower. You've got Gabbiadini, you've got Austin, and you've got Shane Long, all players that can get into double figures and beyond in the Premier League. You've then got backup from the likes of Redmond, Tadic, Buffal, again, all players that can touch 10 goals, or touch double figures in the Premier League, 7, 8, 9 goals. The firepower's there, it's using it properly. I'm confident that if we do that, and I like what I've seen from Pellegrino, that there's no need to panic yet. Every squad wants new players. Yeah, of course, I'd like to see 11 new players all costing 60 million each, but it ain't going to happen. We've got to look at what we do and what we do well, and that's use the transfer market carefully and finding the players.
And we'll talk about Yoshida and Stevens later on, because there's a few comments coming from through a few of our contributors. But speaking about people tapping into your brain, Chris seems to already got the nail on the head in this next comment.
I think I wrote a piece quite recently looking at whether we'd been kind of slow compared to our other windows, and last season and the season before we had signed more players before this point in time. But looking back at the last couple of seasons, bar maybe Nathan Redmond last year, all of our big important transfers, Buffal obviously the record signing, and then the season before Van Dijk and Romeu, they were both done in August. So I think, yes, other teams have done better signings. You look how much Everton have spent when they were the team but above us, and Bournemouth, who were around us, have obviously signed Begovic, Ake, Defoe. They've brought in a lot of players. But I think based on the last couple of seasons, we've done a lot of our important business in August. So I think I'd like to give it a couple more weeks before I start to kind of get worried.
Chris says, do not panic. Previous big signings were made in August, and it's August now. And what sort of players do you think Pellegrino may have in mind? Or there's this, I think it's Vestergaard has been bounded about at the moment, defender. Do not panic, essentially.
If there's one thing that the last 3 years should have taught us, it's patience. I mean, 3 years ago we were in a flimsy position with regard to players' contracts, etc. And we had a new board come in back then who got caught before they got their feet under the table, so to speak. We haven't made that mistake since, and it's all about selling players when we want and when it's best for us. I mean, make no bounds about it, the whole strategy is buying and selling players, because that's the only way we can make money. If we want to raise 70 million to spend in the transfer market, we are not Manchester United, who can raise that from just selling shirts in Disneyland. We've got to raise it in other areas. Manchester United earns £17 million more than us in just their shirt sponsorship with Chevrolet. So that's what we're up against. So it's patience. What the last 3 years has taught about is every year for the last 3 years, by early June, people were panicking and saying we're finished and we're going to be relegated and we're going to be bottom 6 and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And every year they've been proved wrong. And I mean, you'd think that some of them would have learned a lesson by now. And that lesson is patience. Let's sit back and see where we're going. And as I say, this squad is stronger than the squad we started out with 3 years ago in 2014. It's got more depth in it, and that's because we've sold players. We don't want to see players go, and we've got to control it. So we just got to sit back, because most of them have been bought in August, as Chris says. You know, the big signings are made in August when you can start negotiating for your targets, because the selling club now will sell.
And I think since we come back up in the Premier League, the fans' expectations, speaking to a lot of the younger fans that haven't gone through the turmoil with the administration and the relegations in the 90s, they expect us to be that spending club like everybody else in the Premier League is. And Dan, actually, the next comment comes in. He's not very happy about our activity so far, and we need to do what the others do.
Basically, I think it's gone shockingly. However, there's plenty of time left. There's a whole month for us to reinvest or invest in any position. But I always knew at the beginning of the summer, when the window opened, we didn't need a summer of complete change where we'd be selling loads of players and bringing loads in like a couple seasons ago. What I felt, and I still feel now, is we need maybe 2 or 3 statement signings, because what I said in my article, the teams that are going to be competing with us, because as we all know, in the Premier League there are about 4 or 5 mini leagues. It's so competitive. The teams like West Ham, Everton, even West Brom now, those sort of teams, they're going to be competing with us with the money they've spent so far. They've shown some statement signings. They've shown a statement of intent, which we're yet to show. Last season there was a little bit of it with spending 60 million for the first time on Sofiane Boufal, and this season it does look like he's going to be worth that fee, but last season, nuh-uh. So I understand why the club might be a bit hesitant on spending all that sort of money, because we've done so well recently without spending a lot of money, so why should we need to do it again? But I feel like the Premier League is getting more and more competitive, and if we don't bring in some really good signings, it doesn't even have to be a lot, maybe 2 or 3 for the best part of £20 million. If we buy, let's put it this way, if we buy 3 players for £20 million each, I know this is a lot of money and people are going to disagree, some will agree, then that's going to be about the same amount of money that we've spent in recent summers per summer for a lot more players. And I feel like maybe that's what we need to do now, because we've got good players, we've got a great squad, and I think we've had the best squad out of those teams that are going to be competing with us, and they've had to invest more. But there's still room for improvement and room for some bigger players to come in.
And as I was just saying before the clip, it's he wants us to spend big to be competitive, and if we don't, then we're we're going to be left behind. And the fact that he's saying £20 million for a player each, that really contradicts everything that Saints have built themselves upon.
Yeah, I mean, but as we've stated before and looked at, a £20 million player in this transfer window at the moment, in this transfer market, is a player that you would have got for 10 million a year 2 years ago. You take Kevin Wimmer, who we're looking at Spurs. Spurs signed him 2 years ago for shade under £5 million. He's barely played for them. I think he's managed 15 Premier League games in 2 seasons for them, and some of them off the bench. Yet Tottenham want 20 million for him. Sacco at Liverpool. Sacco, £13 million a few years ago, played a few games, out of favour with Klopp, never played 1 game for him last year, played 8 games for Crystal Palace. Liverpool want £30 million. It's ludicrous.
The world's gone mad.
The world has gone mad, and this is what we perhaps got to avoid in certain respects. I mean, because we've got to buy wisely, because to keep competing, and as was said, the Premier League now is a series of leagues in many respects, and the top 6 financially are way, way above us. And, from a financial terms, and we've got to hope that, like a couple of years ago, a couple of them, go in a meltdown like Chelsea did and Liverpool did, and we can sneak into that top 6 or 7. and sneak into Europe. But that ain't going to happen every year, and it didn't happen last season. And you know, we've got to buy wisely. And I think there'll be a few teams that have played some stupid money and will find themselves locked into high-paid players having blown their transfer budget. And God knows we've done that in the past as well. So, you know, it's about being wise. You know, we all want big signings, we all want big players, but you know, it's about year on year out improvement. You know, for me last season 8th was great. First time ever we've finished 4 times in a row in the top 10 of the league, yet for some that seems to be disaster, not improvement. You can't improve season on season out. We reached the peak of our, I wouldn't quite say achievement, because I still hope we can finish higher, but we reached where we really stand in last season, which is 7th or 8th. And we've got to watch teams like Everton, who've got much bigger resources, much bigger support, and we've got to look at teams like West Ham, who have got 60,000 stadium, got much bigger resources. They're going to be looking for 6th and 7th. It's great. No, everyone moans that Everton overtook us. Nobody moans at West Ham with twice the support that we've got now with the Olympic Stadium, with Golden, whatever his name is, spending stupid money from their pornographic industry profits. You know, that they finished behind us. You know, no one looks at that. They'll go, it's a disastrous season. Christ, most teams in the league, by the top 7, would have wanted our season last season. So this summer should be about tweaking the squad. As I've said before, we've got the squad. The problem was the manager. We take away the manager, we're okay.
And Matt comes in with an interesting point, actually, in terms of the transfer rumours that are being circulated across the internet. He thinks that it's the social media that's really kind of blown it all out of proportion.
In terms of our transfer window this summer, we were promised a quiet summer. On social media, we've done our best to make it anything but that. We have kind of done our best to draw up every rumor that's out there, but that's beside the point. And granted, we haven't really lost anybody of note. We've allowed some people to leave. We put some people out on loan. We've actually sold a few players, but none of them major first-team starters. And that's a change. Obviously, we have the Virgil Van Dijk situation, but that's a little bit different. But the teams above us and below us have either have added to their squad in areas where they can either make up the points between us and them, or in Everton's case, widen the gap between us and them, and close it on the top 6. So I think that we are kind of in danger of being left behind a little bit. And in saying that, I realize that we have a lot of players. There's a lot of quality in our team that maybe didn't live up to their potential last year, and I think they can do better this year. But of course I think that because I'm a fan and I want them to do better. But the truth will be is if Pellegrino can get them to play in a way that Puel was unable to do. And you know, based on what we saw from Puel and what I think most of us think about Puel, he didn't get the team to play well, and I think there's a chance that we could play better and be better than we were last year with the same players. But I still do think we need some additions.
Bottom line, though, he says that we do need some additions, but the interesting point that I've pointed out there, you know, rags on the internet across the media kind of blow these rumours out of proportion, and then suddenly it starts circulating across social media, and then obviously the players and the media team behind the scenes, they latch onto it, and then kind of it's almost sort of a second-hand kind of tapping up, really, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll take a couple of points that Matt's made. I mean, firstly, he's saying teams like Everton are investing money and zooming ahead of us. Unfortunately, that is the nature of the game. The top 6 clubs have got that money. We haven't. You know, Matt being over in America may well have been at Disney World in Florida. Manchester United shirts, Liverpool shirts, Chelsea shirts, going out the door in Disney World shops like there's no tomorrow. You know, I would hazard a guess Manchester United sell more shirts in Disney World alone than we sell in total. And that is that's the gap we're trying to bridge, and we ain't ever going to do it. You know, we're never going to do it, and we've got to accept that and look at how we can bridge it in other ways and be there and be competitive, which is what we are doing and doing well, which is why every team that is not the 7 that finished above us look to us as a role model. Now, social media, you're right, social media's been used. Liverpool have used social media. Liverpool's strategy to try and attract Van Dijk has been to feed the media, feed their ex-players in the media, and Liverpool have got a very well organised network of fans, websites, fans, video sites, call them what you will, who then latch on it. So all of a sudden, if you go on some of the news gathering channels like News Now, there are also other news gathering channels available, it suddenly gives the impression that Virgil van Dijk is packing his bags and already left, because they just fly off and build it. You know, Virgil van Dijk, they rehash the same rumours. A week or so ago, Virgil van Dijk's been removed from the squad. All the headlines are Virgil van Dijk's been left out of the squad, move imminent. 5 days later he still hasn't moved.
Forcing a move, they said, didn't they?
So the next headline is Virgil van Dijk been omitted from Saints squad to go to France. It's just the same rumour, rehashed again, which all gives the same. Virgil van Dijk has been, according to John Aldridge, Mickey Quinn and other ex-Liverpool players, has been on the verge of a move is close since May. Now we're holding tight and we're standing tight, that's good. Yet the supporters seem to think that they don't trust the club enough, and the club over the last 3 years have given us enough to say that we should trust them.
And some of the guys have already touched upon it in the comments there, but where do we need to invest? Where do we need to improve, if we need to invest at all?
Well, we need another central defender. I mean, the reality is we have not improved. We have not replaced Jose Fonte. We should have replaced him in January. I mean, we didn't. I mean, I stick up for Les Reed, Ralph Kruger, and that in the areas that they need sticking up for, or should be stuck up for. But in January, they failed to replace Jose Fonte, and it wasn't as if it came as a complete shock when he left. That cost us the League Cup final. If we'd have replaced Jose Fonte with a quality central defender, we'd have won the League Cup. Even without Virgil van Dijk, if Virgil van Dijk had still been fit and we'd have replaced him, we'd have not only won the League Cup, but we'd have probably chased Everton down in the end, but we didn't. So we've got to look going forward. We haven't replaced Jose Fonte. We've got to. Most other areas we're fairly strong and well covered. Any club can always do with a striker, and we always worry about that. But if we sign one central defender, I'll be happy. Truly quality central defender. If we sign two, that's a really good statement of intent, because we've got Virgil van Dijk's inevitable move covered. I mean, let's get two central defenders in. Let's get them bedded in with Van Dijk, and then when Liverpool are really desperate in January, where they can see the Premier League title in their hands, then then they'll have to pay what we demand. Let's get 100 million for him. Let's really set the bar.
What does that mean for Jan Bednarek then? He's obviously coming, and there's a couple of reports that suggest that he could be moved out to a Championship club this summer.
They brought Bednarek in as one for the future. I mean, he's 19, 21 or 21. He needs experience. The Polish league is not the best league. He needs a little bit of experience, but they're playing down, and this is good. They're playing down, his potential. You don't want to bring him in and put the weight of the world on his shoulders. But they're playing it down. They're bringing it in, gifting it in. Again, you would hope that if you've bought two central defenders, or at least one, if you get one, play him along, assuming Van Dijk stays, bed them in, and you're looking at Bednarek to come in next season.
And there's an interesting comment come from Luke, actually, who kind of echoes some of your thoughts there, in the fact that we do need a replacement for Jose Font.
I think that, obviously, if Virgil does go, we need another top centre-back, perhaps even two. But I think what I'd like to see is another strong, physical defensive midfielder, because if Romeu does get inevitably suspended, or even worse, he gets injured, we look a little bit lightweight in the middle, and I think that we do need a tank in the middle. I'd also like to see a versatile, dynamic forward, someone in the mould of Mane, because I don't really think we've replaced him all that well as such. So I think maybe another winger/striker would be good.
It seems like it's kind of holding on to clutches, really, in the fact that we've had this player, Sadio Mane, took the league by storm, scoring many goals, and his blistering pace, we haven't replaced that.
Well, I sort of disagree with that a little bit, because Sadio Mane's time here was spent with Sadio Mane coming into March in both seasons having scored about 4 goals. He didn't take the league by storm. He did have blistering pace, but he never used it to its full extent until the last month, 6 weeks of both of his seasons here. You know, it's amazing how the memory fades, because Sadio Mane was subject of a lot of abuse from fans for most of the season. I mean, he never, in his final season here, he never scored from scoring against Liverpool at Anfield.
6 months, wasn't it?
6 months till he did it. So, replacing him, we didn't have to do a lot. Now, Nathan Redmond has got blistering pace. Nathan Redmond can do the job that Sadio Mane did, and has possibly got more potential than Mane. The problem with with Redmond, was he was played out of position. He was played as a forward. He's not a forward. He's a wide attacking player, and he was constantly played out of position, which got the fans on his back. The fans were on his back because they saw him as the
direct replacement for
Mane. But he wasn't playing the direct replacement role for Mane. He was thrown into the central role. Mane was never played in the central role for Saints. So we have replaced Mane. It's like we replaced Pella with Charlie Austin, and that went a little bit wrong and was playing style, but that's all gone now. So yeah, I mean, personally, from attacking options, yeah, we can always do with another attacking option, but I think we've got a big centre forward style player in Charlie Austin. We've got a fast wide man in Redmond. We've got a nippy forward in Gabbiadini. We've got a hard-working, battling, cover every ground forward in Shane Long. And then we've got 3 wide options in Tadic, Boufal and Josh Sims, who offer various different options going out wide.
Ward-Prowse is also in that bracket now, because he played a lot of games out wide right last season.
Yeah, I mean, I see it again, a different style. I mean, what we've got to look at with what Puel did last season. I mean, when the goals dried up, they didn't dry up initially. When you look at January, when we overcame the issues of January, we started scoring goals. We beat Watford away 4-3. We beat Sunderland away 4-0. We started scoring goals. But the Watford game showed Puel that, we just couldn't defend, and we stopped. And instead of playing a flying winger on the wide side like Sims or Boufal, we started playing Ward-Prowse, who'll sit back and play balls. So, why the goals dried up was because we barely crossed the halfway line. Because every time we charged forward, they just counter-attacked and did us for pace at the back and poured through. So, part of the problem, I won't say it's all the problem, but 40% of the problem was that we had to change the playing style and go back to a boring, nil entertainment playing style to make sure we didn't get stuffed. Last 7 games, I think we conceded 4 goals and scored 2.
Yeah.
But that was it.
And hopefully Pellegrino's got it right this season, give us some more exciting football. But I think you will love this comment that's coming from Matt about Yoshida's role at the club.
One area would be centre back. I think an area I think we could definitely do with another Premier League ready centre back. If Van Dijk goes, you have the situation where Stevens and Yoshida would probably be starting, and they did a great job last year when they came in due to injury and Font leaving. But I don't want them to be our number 1 starters. I don't think that they are good enough or ready yet. I don't think Yoshida is that good. I think he is the 3rd choice centre back on a team like ours always, and I think he understands that role. I think he knows that role, and I think he's played well enough to retain that role and maybe even fight with Stevens for a starting spot. But I think we need somebody like a Van Dijk next to them starting, and if he goes, we don't have that yet. So I think another Premier League ready centre back would be good, whether it's Wimmer or somebody else. I'm not sure. In addition, I think that another striking option might be worth looking at. If we run into a situation like we did against Saint-Etienne, where both Austin and Gabbiadini are playing on the pitch at the same time, if one of them gets injured, all of a sudden we are short. And depending on the formation we want to play, I think maybe we need another striking option. But most importantly, I think a centre back is our number one priority. Still, we haven't ever really replaced Jose Font.
So as we've been saying, even it's clear to see, fans over in America can see that we haven't replaced Jose Font. And for those of you that read the articles and have been watching our reports, Nick's got a lot of stick last season, and the fact that Yoshida's not good enough, etc., etc. But as I say, fans across the world can see that Yoshida is not good enough, and he knows his role at the club as third choice centre back. Yeah,
Matt speaks a lot of sense. Look, go USA! I knew he was going to be on. I'm down with my, colonial brethren. He's right. I mean, what you got to look at is the litmus test. I don't think that Yoshida and Stevens had a very good pairing to start with. We leaked goals when they came in, and the litmus test is, did any other club come in for him ever? No. Jack Stevens was at Middlesbrough the year before, couldn't get in their championship side. He, for all intents and purposes, at the new year, Stevens, having not played a game, was heading for the exit door. Yoshida, we know what Yoshida is. We've had him here for 4 years. As Matt says, he's a good backup central defender. He makes too many mistakes. He'll always make a mistake in a game. You get him in, he's good for what we get, because we're not Manchester United, we're not Chelsea. We can't have 3 or 4 international quality, truly Premiership centre halves who are happy to be in the squad because they're going to be challenging for the league, the Champions League, etc., etc. So Yoshida has been good at what he's done. Are either of them the answer? I would say not. I mean, as I said, we had to protect them late on in the season, which meant it stopped us conceding goals, but stopped us scoring goals. We need a replacement. They haven't offered Yoshida a new contract. He's got a year left. So reading between the lines, I'd expect Yoshida to leave, if not in the January transfer window, in next summer's. And the club are clearly hoping that Jack Stevens or Bednarek will step up into that number 3 role. But as we say, the issue is we've got to get a number 2 centre half to play alongside Van Dijk, and we've got to get a number 1 centre half. Let's get the problem sorted before it happens. And that's not, that's what cost us a lot last season, that we didn't sort out the Jose Fonte problem. We knew there was a problem in August. We didn't sell him in August, but what did we do in 4 months between the transfer window? Absolutely nothing. So when he went in January, we had nothing sorted out.
And well, let's talk about the never-ending story, the inevitable, really. It could, may not be inevitable, but Virgil van Dijk, apparently he wants to move, according to reports. He's been training alone this week, but in contrary to this, the Telegraph, written by Jeremy Wilson the other day, he said that he will be reintegrated back into the squad. But do you think Pellegrino has dealt with it in the right way?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is no wrong way. I mean, how can you deal with it when a player tells you want to go? Hey, I don't blame him for wanting to go. At the end of the day, I'm only sitting here giving comments on, on this because Sky Sports aren't offering me lots of money to do it on their channel. People want, players want to play in sides that have got a chance of winning things, Champions League or Premier League or whatever. Players want to triple and quadruple their wages, and why wouldn't they? But there's right ways of doing about it, because at the end of the day, Virgil van Dijk was quite happy to sign a contract not, barely, 18 months ago, which tied him into the side for, 6 years, of which he's got 5 left. He was quite happy to sit back when he was injured and accept the money, and to tell the club that he was, he would be captain and going forward. So there are ways and means of doing things. Now, at the end of the day, Saints hold all the aces. He's got 5 years left on his contract. There's a World Cup coming up next year, and if he spends the year playing badly and sulking, he won't get a move to a bigger club next summer or whenever he wants it, and B, he won't get in the Holland World Cup side, because he'll lose. It's okay to say, yeah, you can stroll around, but you lose the sharpness, of playing.
And Aidan comes up with a really good comment coming in. He thinks that Virgil should win back the fans.
Yeah, I think he's talked a lot about his man management and how much he wants to keep the squad as a happy unit and bring everyone together and get the fans on board. So I'm taking I'm taking putting good faith into Pellegrino and his decisions there. And to be honest, if it does end up happening and Virgil stays, I think he's got to show his commitment back to the club again, and I think he's got to win the fans over. But I personally won't be booing him, or no, I haven't involved myself in any of the Virgil chants, because at the end of the day, I think it's the modern day with it. You know, how many reports get out? There's new things apparently being reported every half hour, and to be honest, I don't buy half of the stuff. I mean, there's back pages to be filled, there's news articles that need producing, and people are funneling stuff out. And at the end of the day, I imagine so many of the facts we don't even have a single clue about at the minute. So I'm just looking forward to when we can find out the full situation, everything that's going on, and then we can at least just get it behind us. To be honest, it's the longest saga we've dealt with in the fact that nothing's actually happened yet. No bids genuinely been placed, and yet there's this much of a fuss over it. So I just want to get this over and done with. And I think at the moment, judging by what Pellegrino said, the way he's carried himself, I'm encouraged by the way that he's handling the situation.
Encouragement from Maiden, he's encouraged by Pellegrino's management of this situation, and he speaks about a good point there in the fact that we've had this saga going on for best part 6 to 9 months since Christmas, more or less, and there's back pages to be filled, as we were saying. The likes of ex-Liverpool legends, Liverpool players, come out of all this, fake news, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strategy. The problem with Liverpool now is they can't bid. If Liverpool now make a bid, then they're effectively banged to rights on the fact that they have tapped up Van Dijk. They got away with Premier League sanctions because they turned around and said, hey, okay, yeah, sorry, we won't happen, we're pulling out of a transfer. So they got away with that. But if they should now go in, they've launched another concerted campaign, which no one can prove it's Liverpool till they actually prove it themselves by launching a bid. So Liverpool's tactics have been, let the player drive it, and then we can step in and go, well, if he wants to come to us, what can we do about it? We'll have to buy him, won't we? But they can't bid, and that's why the uncertainty is. Otherwise, why don't Liverpool just slam the money on the table and start negotiating? If they'd have done this back in May, Van Dijk might well have been a Liverpool player by now. If they'd have said, we'll give you 50 million, and we'd have gone, no, we want 70, we might have agreed on 60, but now they've burnt all their bridges. The Premier League are breathing down their necks, saying, we're going to, if you come out and do this, you're actually showing that you're guilty. So they're stuck. So they've used it in an underhand way to try and persuade them. Of course, this is all, it's all just guesswork, really. But reading into it, it's not hard.
And the speculation has really kind of influenced this entire saga, really. I mean, across social media, across various different outlets. But Pellegrino's philosophy, he wants a team that wants to be together. And Dan comes out with a really good comment. He kind of compares us to the likes of Leicester and Chelsea, like they were in the previous seasons.
I personally think Pellegrino's and Les Reed actually have handled the situation brilliantly, because there have been very many situations in the past where a player may go on strike or say he doesn't want to leave, not necessarily at our club as well, and managers, owners could have just gone, right, we're going to sell you. They still want him to stay, and Pellegrino's philosophy of football is basically around how his players always have to be happy, and it's kind of like a brotherhood, if you like. I think that's what he's trying to get. I think he's trying to get a brotherhood within the squad, which is fantastic. We didn't have that last season. And you can see that with some of the teams that have succeeded recently, like Leicester, they had a brotherhood when they won the title. Chelsea had a brotherhood last season. Lots of teams have brotherhoods. And I think that's what we need this season. And so if Van Dijk's going to affect that, if he's going to be sort of negative energy, if you like, he can't be with the squad. And Pellegrino is perfectly correct in saying that he can't be around the squad if he's going to be negative energy.
No negative energy in St Mary's for Mauricio Pellegrino, and he wants the team to be a brotherhood, and we've seen that success with Leicester, the underdog story of the century, and Chelsea together last season. Hardly any changes in terms of week to week.
No, you're quite right, and I mean you've only got to look at Leicester to see, as much as Leicester were a brotherhood, the season they won the league, they weren't a brotherhood last season. It's the brotherhood of cash, and undoubtedly. The fact that several players weren't allowed to leave, and they fell out with the manager, and rumours of him being backstabbed by the players, Pellegrino's doing it the right way. Les Reed and Ralph Kruger are doing it the right way and what they're saying. And this history, you know, people on social media, our own fans, are quick to point out and go, oh, the moment Les Reed gets an offer for a player, we just sell him. But that's not actually been the case. I mean, 3 years ago, people will talk about Lallana, Lovren, etc. going, but they won't talk about the fact that Morgan Schneiderlin was demanded to go. Morgan Schneiderlin's head wasn't right, and Morgan Schneiderlin didn't play in a couple of games early season because he was being refused to move to Tottenham. He reintegrated himself in the side and you know, went with the fans' best wishes behind him. 2 years ago, Victor Wanyama. Sorry, I was getting Kevin Wimmert. That's Matt and his German pronunciations. Victor Wanyama. Victor Wanyama demanded to go to Tottenham again, who were unsettling him again, and we told him he couldn't go, meaning that his head wasn't right, his head isn't right, he's not mentally right, is the catch-all phrase now for that he's sulking at home and won't come out. Victor Wanyama refused to travel to Denmark, so I'm told, allegedly, and that saw us out of Europe that year.
And the year before that as well, Morgan Schneiderlin. You know,
that's what you said, yeah.
Yeah, well, the board will say to him, you know, you are staying here this year, and you'll get your move next year.
Yeah.
But it's been a difficult situation for Pellegrino. But ultimately, we do hold all the cards, according to Luke.
I think so far Pellegrino's been pretty spot on. I think that while he is the way he is, he would be a disruption to the training. And I think that by the looks of things, the team spirit looks quite good at the moment. I think the trips to Austria and France have helped them. But ultimately, you want to be doing all you can to keep Virgil here. You want to be keeping him happy. And at the moment, it doesn't look like he's going to settle unless he goes to Liverpool, unless he gets his move. So it's put the manager in a very difficult situation. But I think that ultimately the decision has to come down to him, because he's in a position where he can have 65, 70 million to perhaps choose a couple of new signings for the club, you know, to invest that money that we get from Virgil, or he can keep hold of him and keeps his best player. So I think ultimately the decision has to come down to Pellegrino and only him, because we do ultimately hold all the cards.
Does it really does Pellegrino, is he the only one that can make this decision?
No, I mean, you know, it's difficult because there's three things in play. It's Saints are holding all the cards. You know, Pellegrino is here as manager. Yes, he can give his input into it, but Saints have to. And ultimately now, the problem is that Saints have been backed into a corner, and you know, they're going to have to stand up and say, no, he isn't go, you're not going. So I don't think that the ultimate decision comes down to Pellegrino. We should have enough money this transfer window, but if we spend it wisely to bring in two central defenders, even if we don't sell anyone. I mean, we've got 12.5 million in, we've got 5 million out. You know, we've got a bit of profit in that. I mean, people don't realise that, you know, so many people go to me, oh, we never spend all our transfer money in. But, you know, you take Virgil Van Dijk. If we sell Virgil Van Dijk for 70 million this week, we'll actually net a shade over 50 million, because Virgil van Dijk will get 7 million quid for not demanding a transfer, although technically he's done everything but put it into writing, so he gets his 10% cut of the fee, and Celtic, I think, have got a 15% sell-on clause. So, you know, we're going to lose out 70 million, best part 16, 17 million, and then there's the agent. Although we didn't want to sell him, we have to pay his agent, you know. So if we sell Virgil van Dijk for 70 million, we actually only net 50, and that's the problem. So yeah, Pellegrino will have an input, because he will ultimately turn around and say, yeah, I'd rather just get rid of him now, or I'd do that. But the problem is, it's gone beyond the manager. It's now the board thing. If we sell him, there'll be so many people who go, we haven't stood up. You know, the club have used their own media contacts, as we've mentioned earlier, to subtly put out there, or not so subtly put out there, that they have not moved on this stance. You know, and that's the thing. We haven't got the media connections, and we haven't got the number of social media channels that Liverpool fans have, so it doesn't seem like we're winning the battle. But ultimately, we're just sat back quietly and saying we hold the cards, we're not selling him, and it's down to Liverpool to make us. And if they don't, we've got to be prepared to stand tight in doing that.
And as soon as the reports did break a week or so ago, the cynics come out and say let him rot in the reserves, but we wouldn't maintain any value in that. I'm going to go from back-to-back comments coming from Aidan and Luke here, who pick up some very good, interesting comments.
No, I don't think that's the way to go about it, and I think it's just unrealistic because it's just not going to happen. As much as we can say, oh, I'd love to see him rot there, it's not going to happen. We're either going to sell him or we're going to keep him for this year and sell him in the next year. I just don't think that would be the best thing for the club to do at all. I'd rather see it reimbursed or for him to come back in the side and just play next year. I think lots of the time things can be blown wildly out of proportion, and whilst I do think Virgil's acted like a child, as I said before, I look forward to getting the full facts of the situation, being able to take a full step, take a step back at the end of the window, really analyse what's going on and go from there, really. I don't think that, move of putting him in the reserves for a few years, I think would just be idiotic from the club.
The bridges, if not already, are very, very close to have been burnt. I think that the way he's gone about it has been pretty disgraceful, in my opinion. I think that it's been unprofessional, he's let us all down, and it's not how you want to see a captain reacting to interest from other clubs. I mean, it's normal to be attracted to a move to a club like Liverpool, but at the end of the day, there are ways to go about it, and there's mannerisms that you should follow, and he's not led by example at all. So it's tough. I don't think he's been very, very good at handling the situation, and I think that ultimately the bridges could be burned between him and a lot of the Saints fan base.
Okay, first point then from Aidan, it would be idiotic for the club to let him rot on the reserves, and there wouldn't be any value in that.
There is value in it, in the fact that the club have got to make a stand that they are not going to be held to ransom by players. And if you look at the league now, there's probably 6 other teams that want to see, or maybe not want to see, Liverpool win but don't really care, and there's every club that finished below us who want to see us stand up for our rights and do that. I mean, the difference is we got him under a 5-year contract. How low is his value going to be in a year's time? And he can't afford to let that value. He's got if he's not allowed to go, he's got to stand firm and stand up and step up to the plate. Otherwise, he's not going to be in the Holland squad. Otherwise, a year's time, there aren't going to be the likes of Liverpool or Manchester City or Barcelona or Chelsea coming in for him, and he's just going to. So there are things. There's a lot you said about Virgil Van Dijk behaving disgracefully. I mean, Virgil van Dijk hasn't behaved in anything at all. I mean, the one thing that hasn't come out so far is anything directly from Virgil van Dijk, his agent, or anything. Everything is hearsay. We're told he's striking. No, what's happened so far is that, or appears to have happened so far, is Liverpool have spoken to Virgil van Dijk, and the only thing they've really done wrong is get caught for doing that, because it happens. No, gone are the days when you approach a club and say, can I speak to your player? They talk to him. His mobile phones is everything. The world's a small place. Virgil van Dijk accidentally bumps into Jurgen Klopp while visiting the Beatles Museum in Liverpool. What can we do about that? It happens. We got to accept that. Now, what has Virgil van Dijk done? He hasn't put in a transfer request, which is probably due to the fact that that's worth £7 million to him. He hasn't made public pronunciations. He hasn't claimed his strike. All of this is coming from Liverpool, who are driving and trying to force him to do anything. Now, all he has done is told the club that he would like to go. Now, what's wrong with that? I mean, I'm not sticking up for Van Dijk here, but what I am saying is what's wrong with that? He's gone to the club and said, Liverpool are offering to quadruple my wages, if you believe their social media. They reckon they're going to have a decent stab at the Premier League, and they're in the Champions League. I quite like a bit of that. And the club have turned around and said, well, actually, you're under a 5-year contract. You're going to have to wait. Now, that's the situation so far. What has Van Dijk done? He hasn't gone to the press, started crying on TV or, demanded. He's just come back to training, and he's trained, and he's been training. Now, as they said there, what's Pellegrino done? Pellegrino said, I don't want negative vibes around the squad. So Pellegrino has removed him from the squad. Not Van Dijk, but Pellegrino. So Pellegrino said, I don't want you in the squad. I want you to go away and think about this. I'm taking you out the squad. Go away and train on your own. So far, Virgil hasn't actually done anything petulantly that we know of. I might be totally wrong. He might be stood now at the moment in the the boardroom at St Mary's, stamping his feet, putting his fingers in his ears and holding his breath till he goes red in the face. But as it stands, it looks like we've done the right thing. He's doing the right thing in what he's doing by keeping quiet. It's Liverpool who are driving it. It's John Aldridge who's driving it. It's Mickey Quinn who's driving it. It's Steve Nicol who's driving it. It's Peter Odemwinkie who's driving it. You know, what is this doing? But all of them has got something to say on it, and none of it is truthful. So can Virgil van Dijk be reintegrated in the squad? Yeah, he won't be the first player who's told he's got to stay. You know, Liverpool have got that. Luis Suarez a few years ago demanded to go in May. Liverpool told him he couldn't go. Arsenal then came back and miraculously knew his buyout clause to the penny. You know, he was removed from the squad 2 weeks before the season to play. He came back in 2 weeks into the season, had his best ever season for Liverpool, and then he was sold to Barcelona, obviously.
And the influence of social media, like we've just been saying, you know, it's burnt a lot of bridges between the fans and the player. And come 12th of August, if he's in the squad, that I think there will be a section of support that will be booing Virgil if he's in the first team.
There will be, but at the end of the day, it's all about manipulating the media. As I said, so far, Virgil van Dijk hasn't said anything or done anything that should lead fans to boo him. He's asked to go. He's not the first man to go that. Mick Shannon asked to go in the summer of 1975 and the club told him no. A year later he was an FA Cup winner. The fans didn't boo him the season after for demanding to go. They knew what it was like. Different times, but same scenario in many respects. Just to finish on that though, if Virgil van Dijk is made to stay, the club media gets out and they will say he didn't strike. As they're saying now, which they're still doing, which is good, we removed him, the manager removed him for his own good. And they'll have things like, you know, Virgil will come back and say through gritted teeth that, you know, Pellegrino's words made sense. And he'll come back, and if Virgil van Dijk scores a header against Swansea on the opening day of the season and we win 1-0, we'll all be singing "We've got Van Dijk, Virgil van Dijk." Although there's still 2 weeks left over the transfer window.
Right then, to finish off this little podcast, simple question to finish on: do you think Virgil will still be a Southampton player on September 1st?
Good question. I think he will be, and I think he will be purely and simply because I think Saints have backed themselves into such a corner that they can't back down now. If you'd have asked me this and Liverpool had done the right thing throughout the summer, I would say no. If Liverpool had weighed in with 65 million quid and we were saying no, that's not enough, I would have said no, he'll be gone. But I think we've backed ourselves in the corner and he's going to have to stay.
I think I'd probably agree with you. I think I've been holding out for this for the best part of the summer, and when Liverpool fans have asked me, send us Virgil away, put Virgil in the backseat of Martinez car and went out to Merseyside a few weeks ago, I still maintain Virgil will stay because I think his personality, his attitude and his commitment, you know, I don't think he'd be one to... I think he realises the fans' kind of hatred to Liverpool fans or Liverpool Football Club now. That the fact that half a dozen, if he becomes like 7th or 8th person to go up there in a matter of 3 or 4 years, it would become another Lovren, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, ironically, if Dejan Lovren was to be offered as part of the deal, he could come back and not be the most hated central defender in Southampton. It's how football goes. I mean, nowadays, it's social media has made it a global game. I know it's an age thing maybe. I know a lot of Liverpool fans on Merseyside of a similar age to me, 29, who plus a few years, who absolutely hate the way they love Liverpool Football Club. They go to all the games, but absolutely hate the way that their board behaves now in terms to this. They say it's not the Liverpool way. Most of it comes on social media. You get some bloke from Albania said, "You get a Liverpool Virgil in Austria the other week," and they were claiming that because Virgil van Dijk smiled that the deal is close. You know, it's all over there. It's a world and global game, and people, you know, get carried away with what they read on social media. But again, if there's one word, it's patience.
And we're going to finish up with some of the comments coming from everybody that sent their comments in as well.
Okay, at the moment, I'm still hopeful that he's not going to go to Liverpool, to be perfectly honest with you. I still don't think that's going to happen. I think lots of the reports do sway it that way. But I would worry if the Chelsea did come swooping in, a bid come in. That would be my worry. If a top European, if a bid from a top European club does come in, then I do think there is a fair possibility that he'd go. But obviously, if no bids come in, which at the moment, I mean, at the end of the day, we still haven't dealt with a bid yet. I mean, for all of this fuss, and still nothing's been filed into the clubs. So it's a very difficult situation. But yes, if a large European club did come calling, I would be fairly shocked if we were to keep hold of him.
Obviously, I'd rather he stay at Southampton, but if he was to leave, I'd probably prefer he went to like Manchester City or someone like that. I don't think Chelsea will come in for him, I think, because they signed Antonio Rudiger the other day, and then obviously the only other club that's really been linked with him is obviously Liverpool. Hopefully, I mean, the fact that they came out and apologised, if they're then going to kind of reignite their interest in him or not even drop their interest in him at all, I do think that's kind of annoying, the fact that they did kind of go out that way to apologise to the fans of Southampton for tapping up the player or whatever. But I think at this point in time, I think it's probably more likely that he's going to leave. I don't want to be a pessimist in the situation, but I think the moment a player wants to start training alone, I think it's very difficult for the club to want to keep him, especially when he's in a role like captain where he's the one that the players will look up to.
The club have also been made to believe that fewer clubs now are going to be coming in with offers because they have to give the green light for bids to come in. And so for that reason, I'm still not confident, but I kind of think Van Dijk's going to stay. And I know fans have been singing chants saying they want him to go. But literally, one single apology and they'll be fine. They'll have the best centre-back, in my opinion, in the Premier League for another season. Their captain, if he stays captain, and all our defensive errors that we had last season hopefully will be resolved.
I don't think he'll be here. I really don't. I think he will. Ultimately, I think he'll be a Liverpool player, but ideally I'd like to see him go abroad. I'd like to see him move to Juventus or a PSG or somewhere like that, because it doesn't really look like Barcelona or Real Madrid have that interest at the moment. But I think he will be a Liverpool player, because nowadays the players just tend to get what they want.
But I do think Virgil van Dijk will be a Southampton player on the 1st of September. I think he will play for us for the remainder of this season, and then he will probably be off. But that's what I would like to see happen, and that is what I do think will happen. So thanks for having me, and talk to you next time.
In general, most of them would prefer him to go to a top European club, and the situation that has unravelled over the past few months, it's difficult to keep a player that against his will, if you like. But Matt ultimately agrees with us. Virgil van Dijk will be a Southampton player, and he'll get his move the year after.
No, it's quite right. I mean, I think, it's inevitable he goes. He's a quality player and deserves to go. But, we buy players, we make them better. There is payback for that, and it's just not financial. We like players to do 2 years for us, and that's the pattern that's emerging. You do your 2 years, and we're quite happy building it up and moving it on. It's a strategy that's worked successfully. It's no luck in it. We've got to build it, and it's the only way we can go forward. Yeah, I think he'll stay. I think he'll get the year out of him. I think he'll put in the shift, because he is ultimately a professional player, and this has been blown up out of all proportion. So, yeah, if he goes, we'd all like to clap him off to Barcelona and go with our best wishes, because that would be a move forward. And sadly, as you say, it's been appalling behaviour from the club that is trying to buy him and the media surrounding them. And
excellent stuff then. Thanks for sticking with us for the past hour or so. Do let us know in the comments below your thoughts of the whole situation. Do you think Virgil will still be a Southampton player on September 1st? What do you make of the whole situation? Has it been blown out of proportion? Leave us your comments in below, leave us your likes, your thoughts, and subscribe for more.